levels up so that you get almost no infection going on
Hello.
whatsoever.
Hello. Who the fuck is this? Oh, the Swedish guy.
Yeah, this is Roserist, but I have a different tag, and also I'm sick, so that's why
Oh,
my voice.
what's up?
I just wanted to ask you a quick question about one of the things you have been mentioning, I think, on your stream a bit, and then I know you mentioned it in your podcast with Modern Wisdom, but it's basically your analysis about, when you have a difference in applied positions between somebody that you share a value with and somebody that you don't share a value with, and the way that that kind of manifests
Nate's
itself
Garden.
in,
Thanks for
in
the
how
10
you go
subs.
about the conversation and how hostile it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if there's something I'm missing, but if I'm not missing anything, I'm not sure that the explanation that you give makes sense.
Okay.
So just to make sure first, I understand what you mean. From my understanding, what you're saying, right, is if you're arguing with somebody with a value difference, if you disagree on an applied position, the reason for this is obvious, right? You have a difference in values. Obviously, you're going to come to different, applied positions, and this doesn't have any bearing. It doesn't say anything new about yourself or the other person. Just
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. But if you argue with someone with a value similarity, and you disagree with that applied position, and now it becomes a lot more offensive, right? Because now it's like, okay, well, if we disagree on the applied position, clearly we must have a difference in our value somewhere, and because of that, you might be implying something about me that I don't hold the values that I think I hold, and because I do really hold them, this sucks and this bothers me, and therefore this argument is going to get heated. Is
Yeah,
that
that
more
is
or
a
less
different
or am I
kind of.
missing something?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I don't know if I would say like it bothers you more. I would say it's like a different type of bother, but yeah.
Okay. Then I think that while I agree that obviously the narcissism of small differences is a thing, I'm not sure if this analysis makes sense. So in this situation, wouldn't it be more obvious that, hey, in a situation in which you share the values with the other person, and you reach a different applied position, that instead of the implication being, oh, one of you must truly not share the value, that, oh, we have an analytical difference here in terms of how we're arriving to our applied positions. Why is it more intuitively obvious for the purposes of your thought experiment that people will go to, oh, clearly we must have a secret difference in values amongst one of us instead? Well, we just have an analytical difference.
I did a video a while ago reacting to something else where I explained this a little bit more, but I feel like I explained this during the Chris Williams thing, but maybe I didn't. But the problem is, I think with most people, I don't think the analytical part happens. I think that when people state a applied position, it's actually like an emotive expression of a feeling you have about a thing. So there is no analysis, so there's no basis by which you could disagree on analysis. An example might be, I think a genocide is happening in the Gaza Strip. When you say that, what a lot of people are saying is like civilian death, boo, I don't like that. And then when somebody else says, oh, I don't think it's a genocide, I think it's just like a lot of killing. When somebody hears it's not a genocide, what they're hearing is you don't think civilian death is bad, and then you fight on that. There is no opportunity to have a disagreement on the form of analysis because that middle step of analysis is actually never happening. Nobody's actually engaging in. That's why when you ask a person who's supposedly been a scholar or historian, Norm Finkelstein, talking about genocide for 40 years, he doesn't know the term dolus specialis because he's never actually read about what genocide means before in his entire life, but he still has a really strong opinion on it. Sorry, that was a random personal attack. But like, I think that the analysis hasn't happened. It's just an expression of a value. And it's smuggled as as an actual applied position. If that analysis has happened, though, then I would agree with you. So like when I have conversations with non-retarded people, then we get into the disagreement on analysis. So for instance, when me and Pisco were arguing about whether or not Trump was responsible for January 6th, generally, me and Pisco, we disagreed in the beginning stages of our argument, but Pisco wasn't like, oh, so you think that what Trump did was fine? And I was saying like, oh, wait, that's not true. We weren't having a value argument. We were disagreeing on the analysis. Well, what was Trump's responsibility then? Because me and Pisco are both analyzing it from start to finish rather than just expressing an emotion.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a lot.
No worries, I understand. Okay. So then I think that there's something strange about the way you frame this a bit then in this case, because the way it sounds when it's framed this way is it's meant to be, it's meant to be explanatory. It's not necessarily meant to, but it sounds to me like it's meant to be explanatory in the sense that, okay, if you talk to someone with a value difference, then, okay, intuitively it makes the most sense that this is happening. If you talk to someone with a value similarity, well, to me, it sounds like the way that that's framed, okay, well, then it should be intuitively obvious that It's an analytical difference. But I understand now what you're trying to say, and it's not necessarily you're trying to give like an explanatory thing, and it's rather just explaining, why it's more kind of like offensive when you have a disagreement, when you have a value similarity, because nobody ever argues in terms of applied positions and analysis, only in terms of value similarity.
Yeah, but I think that is the explanation and the prediction. The prediction should be that somebody could get into a disagreement with a conservative person and walk away without much cognitive dissonance or not feeling as bad. If you get into a disagreement with somebody who's more closely aligned with you, then there's going to be a lot more friction there. It's going to feel a lot worse. And I think that I'm trying to explain why it feels that way.
Okay. So then I think it makes the most, yeah. Then I think it makes the most sense. So then I guess, yeah, the way I might have understood it better, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just like this random fucking European person calling in who's the only person that was confused about this a little bit. But then it sounds like maybe a more kind of intuitive framing might have been, okay, yeah, this is why, like it hurts more when you disagree with people on your side. When you have a value difference, then it's like, okay, well, I went in here with the same expectations, but because nobody ever argues on analytical positions, then if you go in with a value similarity, and again, like everything, it goes back to the value difference, then you get more offended. Okay, that makes sense. Yep, that was the main thing that I was trying to understand. How are you doing generally? You've been traveling around a lot, right? You've been doing all sorts of appearances and everything.
Yeah, I'm chilling this month, and yeah, how have you been doing? What have you been up to?
I've been good. Just mostly focusing on schools and school and well, technically schools because I've been doing my master's applications and stuff like that. No, but just yeah, just focus on school stuff, extracurricular stuff, engagement in youth like student politic organizations. Yeah, stuff like that. It's been fun. I've actually began moving my trajectory. I did well, I'm still doing my thesis and my bachelor of sociology, but I've actually gotten into a master's in international relations and diplomacy. So I'm quite excited actually to move more in that direction, as I think that's something that's a bit more interesting, especially compared to like where my I think that most of my knowledge base lies and stuff like that. I find sometimes sociology gives you valuable tools, but ends up a bit intangible at the end of the day in a lot of cases. So really being able to bring that sociological background into something more applied like international relations, I think will be super fun.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Good luck with that.
Nice
We love you very much. Yeah. Stay safe. Be careful. Love you. Rose Wrist was that guy's old name. That guy's a super cool dude. He did a lot of research reading. One of the cooler socialist guys, although all the cool socialist guys get bullied out of the space. Except for Lonerbox, who's a champion of the people.
Ever.